am on a whole nother level. Girl, he only fucked you over cause you let him. Girl, I guess he didn't know any better. Girl, that man didn't show me ever. Do all I can just to show you you're special. Certain it's your love that holds me together. You say he been killing the vibe.
We're going to be in a country whereby some criminals from Niger, Chad, Mali, Sudan, Libya will be coming into our country to kill our people, and they will walk away, no arrest, no nothing. Abi? So if that is the effort of our heroes past, then they are fraud. Then some people said, oh, don't say that. Our heroes past tried. They got independence for us. But you see, these new ones who are there are the ones who destroy the country. Okay, agreed. Now, every year, even if you have the worst government in Nigeria, every government every year want to come out to tell us, to lie to us, to tell us that Nigeria is a great country. Nigeria is a great country with great people. We have a great future. So therefore, let us keep celebrating our history, our journey, and all that nonsense that they manage to conjure together to make you feel like, oh, I'm a Nigerian. But this year, I'm very happy. I've been monitoring things since morning. How Nigerians are reacting to the independence, independence from the British slave masters and the recolonization and re-enslavement, or is that the right of re-enslavement of Nigerians by their own black-skinned brothers and sisters. That's the recolonization we're having in Nigeria, where people lie to you. People lie to you for a living. They get paid for lying to all of us. Do you know what I mean? Politicians in Nigeria, past and present, successive politicians in Nigeria, we pay them to keep lying to us. And one of the lies they have been telling us is that we are an independent country. Meanwhile, we are not. We are not. We are not independent. Our budget, we can't fund. Our infrastructure, we can't build. Inventions to help our existence, we can't make. Nothing. Rather, we'd love to invest in finished product and claim big man over something that someone somewhere else made. So that's who we are. Do you get that now? So we can't. Sorry, let me check that. People usually talk about this my volume. Let's see. I don't know. I think it should be loud enough. It's not. It's right here. That's the mic. Do you get that? So people say that all the time. I think it's your device most of the time. So they keep lying to us. Keep lying to all of you. Nothing. We know they make anything. Even Buhari that promised us that Buhari's minister that said we'll be producing pencil by 2019. Have you heard about the pencil factory opened by then now? So that Nigeria can be producing pencil. Even ordinary electricity we can make because we have to buy. 58 years, we make nothing. None of our leaders invested in innovation, something that we can claim to say, oh, that thing is made in Nigeria. You see that thing, you see that part of electronic, they make it in Nigeria. Those guys are no investment in anything. Even in Southwest, that Chief Obafemi Awolowo invested so much in education. The product of that free education of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, some of them are the leaders in Yoruba land today. They are governors, they are senators, they are, they are ministers, they are lawmakers of different. They are everywhere. Some of them are royal fathers who mortgage the life of their subjects in their domain. The products of Awolowo's free education in Southwest, they invented nothing. The best brain, probably the best brain from that era, possibly living outside Nigeria. They left Nigeria a long time ago. The time of the brain drain in Nigeria, when the best brains in Nigeria started leaving Nigeria, when they realized that there's no future here. Let's just be realistic. Do you get that now? So we now have some of those who benefited from that free education of learning how to read and write, started or implemented by Chief Obafemi Awolowo back then. Today, the same mad people, the same criminals who are now presenting themselves as leaders in Yoruba land right now, the same criminals looked at us right into our eyes and they told us that education is not cheap. They started quoting all this mad nonsense. They didn't know that investment in education by government is not actually basically about that money, so to say, but these mad people, it's about money to them. Fashola, your star boy Fashola, that minister of darkness, portals, and homelessness in Nigeria, your super minister Fashola, he came out and he told us, he said, education is not cheap anywhere in the world. And the Yoruba Buharidins and the Buharidins, the Aridins, those who will never, ever read their history, they agreed with him. They agreed with Fashola that education should not be, education is not cheap. So if you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Awolowo gave millions of children in Yoruba land, including, when I say millions of children in Yoruba land, including those who are non-Yorubas in Yoruba land, when Awolowo was implementing that policy to give a leverage, to give the generation of that era, the generation that is now ruling us now, to give them that lift, to have that leap above their peers of that era. So those who were living in Yoruba land at that time, all Yoruba land, when I say Western Nigeria, it's not even just Yoruba land, Western Nigeria, under Obafemi Awolowo, the program reached as far as Delta, Warri, and all these places that are no longer in Yoruba land, the Southwest Nigeria anymore. That was how futuristic Awolowo was. These bastards, these Omoadis in Yoruba land, who will tell us to celebrate the fact that we should thank God that we are in Nigeria. We should thank God that there is peace in Nigeria. Which got peace? I'm talking about investment and innovation now. Things that people, leaders in the past invested seriously in. These bastards, these criminals, these greedy, lazy, unproductive criminals who are parading themselves as Yoruba leaders and Nigeria leaders today, they built nothing on that. They destroyed everything. Even the universities and the school and the colleges and all of that, technical schools started by those babas, our forebearers then, the true heroes, our true heroes past. Now this weary, parading themselves now. Do you get that now? They didn't build anything. They didn't build on what those founding fathers left. They destroyed everything. They now came to us and said, the poor man will have to struggle to get education because they know that's the only weapon of freedom that truly, genuinely makes you free. Makes you free. Education. Today, our children are roaming the streets. More children are out of school than children in school. Even the ones that are in school, their teachers, God help that country. Do you get that now? So there is no innovation. Leaders in the past invested so much in education, innovation, because they knew then that these were things that were futuristic. They are things that will harm this generation to help themselves. What are these mad people doing to help this generation? When these old criminals are tired and gone, the generation that is living now, the untrained generation that is currently in Nigeria today, right now, how are they going to take care of themselves when they come of age? No education, no social, no social security for them, no nothing. They still have to survive. Meanwhile, these are the crop of criminals that they will breed and eventually will take over from them, and you will be ruled by them. So the elders of them, those who sat and fought for independence for Nigeria, especially the Yoruba elders who were part of that then, the future they saw is not the future we are living now. Then I remember when Awolowo launched the first television station in the entire Africa, not just Africa. We had that television station first before France. France happens to be a colonial master to so many other French African countries. You remember? But Western Nigeria opened our first television station, first Western Nigeria television station, broadcasting service, WNBS, Western Nigeria Broadcasting Service, TV station, first in Africa. We started that, we had that in Yoruba land in 1957. That was far long time ago. But instead of those who took over from these babas, instead of them to have anything to do, let's even just jump. Let's leave those who have, possibly intervened or whatever in the administration of Nigeria since those babas left. Now let's pick it from 1999. These idiots, these ones that parade themselves as leaders now in Yoruba land, the rogues, the opportunists who are there right now, they have done absolutely nothing to make us feel like we even deserve to be part of Nigeria, or everybody should just find this level. Do you know what I mean? They have added nothing in the area of education, harming this generation, or the generation they are breeding now, the generation that is here now. No education, no nothing. And we are 58 years, nothing. Then let's come to infrastructural development in our country. At least we have to start from the human development. Even the people don't develop themselves. Those who are in charge of your government, they don't develop themselves. They are so archaic and so outdated, that you begin to wonder, how come these people managed to get to political offices? They lie to us. That's one thing that gets me really, really mad, sincerely speaking. When I look at them and I listen to them and I see them lie, bare-faced lie to us, then this, my generation, myself, feels like, you have to, obey them, because without them you can't do anything. You know what I mean? No. Without them, you can do a lot. And that is exactly what you should start telling yourself. It's 58 years. Guess what? These ones will do their nonsense. Before you know it, add 20 years to your age. You will be old, or you'll be too old to even do what you should do now by then. And guess what? They will be too old themselves to lie to you anymore. But at least they will be reaping from the lies they've told over the years for you. One of the lies is that Nigeria is one. Meanwhile, we know that our politicians have destroyed our country they've divided our country to the point that we don't have one Nigeria. We have many Nigerias. You know that? Many Nigerias. But the moment you hit the internet, you can feel the division among Nigerians. Meanwhile, we have leaders. Their job is to unite us. But because education is gone in our country, healthcare system is gone in our country. The economy is zero. Religious morality that used to be something of pride before, there's no longer any religion, morality anymore. It's just how everyone define their religion now, that they practice it. So at the end of the day, you find out that in all of these things, the frustration that all Nigerians carry about, the pretension, the depression that many of us are carrying about, because of the frustration, disappointment, the letdown, the heartbreaks that we have suffered over the years for being Nigerians, and the suffering and smiling, enduring what we shouldn't over the time, has turned many of us into walking lunatics. WMD, weapon of mass destruction. People full of hate, pretending to be in love. Meanwhile, those who put us in this serious this precarious situation, this divisive situation, they will always come back at the same time to even blame us. That's one thing, another thing about them. They come back to blame us. They say, you are impatient, you don't, It's so unfortunate seeing them every year. I mean, every 1st of October, watching them to come out to lie to us, telling us about the development, the progress they have made and stuff like that. Meanwhile, there's nothing that they have done. In January, they will tell you when the rain is like, heavy, they will tell you that electricity, they are now generating electricity, 7,000 or 8,000 megawatts of electricity, only for you then to shut down the following day or two. At the end of the day, only to fall back down to zero. The entire grid shut down, the whole country shut down. And mind you, everybody lives like it's normal, if you know what I mean now. So this is 58 years of abnormality, and it is always time. There is always a time for people to say, no, enough. We're not going to do this anymore, and we're gonna challenge this, put an end to this, and it starts from now. 58 years. It all seems like yesterday when I was, celebrating, or let me say, when we were celebrating 40 years of Nigeria independence. Now 58. In 1999. Yeah, in 1990, that's 10 years ago. 20 years ago. In 1999, Nigeria was 38. 38, that's about 40 years. And we were saying, in 2001, we're all saying that Nigeria is a fool at 40, because Nigeria is 40. And so Nigeria is, 2000, sorry. Nigeria is a fool at 40. Now, what are you going to call Nigeria now? At the age of 58. 58-year-old man still wearing pampers, peeing on himself. Unable to walk well. They're still managing. It's not crippled, but they have managed. They raised the country like a dead country. I'll take out my headphone. It's like you always have problem with my headphone. So I don't know if you can hear me clearly now. Let me know. So let me know about this volume if you can hear me clearly. So at the age of 58, Nigeria 58, I don't even know how to describe the way they raised Nigeria. If Nigeria happens to be a man, it would be like an upright, a perfect country that was given to them to fix and make better. We need to raise the country and make it, obsolete and all that, to make the country become. I don't even know how to describe it, because when you have so many people who live in denial on what they go through, and they don't even understand what being a citizen in their own country even truly means. They don't know. Many Nigerians don't know, and we have people in government who were supposed to make it different, but guess what? They rather manipulate the system, manipulate the gullibles, and then take advantage of them and continue their business as usual. So this generation is pushing. I saw Moyelo Showore in Nigeria today. Arriving in Nigeria today, so that's lovely. And I saw the reception, the welcome reception they gave to me. That's lovely. So gradually, from this generation, people will start standing up to question what is wrong with us. And they're not just going to question what is wrong with us and walk away. They are going to stay there and demand for answers. And the most have answers is getting to that stage. Those who are in charge of our country, those who have brought. The problem is this, right? People take advantage of Nigeria. Nigeria is just like an abused child. So, and then unlucky as well. Nigeria is just like an abused child, unlucky, who lost both parents when he was so small, and I think that's the story of Nigeria. Nigeria was supposed to be a great country, whereby competition was, sort of strive among the federating unit, the north, the south, the south, the south and the southwest, let's say the west, the east. Do you get that now? So we're supposed to have this competition, this positive rivalry, developmental, stuff like that, competition among ourselves. That was how we were supposed to be until the military took over in 1966, and they just turned Nigeria to an orphan. And since then, Nigeria has been transferred from one foster home to the other, and every adopted, foster carer in charge of who has took, who have been in charge of Nigeria, so to say, the foster, they've abused the country. They have abused the country because it's like the new fathers and the mothers of the country, those who birthed the country, were kicked out, and they turned the country to an orphan. And since then, none of them raised Nigeria the right way. Nigeria is 58 years. It can't even walk. You know what I mean? Imagine a 58-year-old man that can't walk. You will feel sorry, and you would love to arrest those who abuse such a wonderful kid that they promised everything but gave nothing. They promise, like when when one loses his or her parents at a very tender or young age, the family members may just come in. Nigeria, what do you call it? My brother Kala Ham, how do I pronounce it? I don't shout much anymore. That's why I decided to use that phone. Anyway, so if you manage to see an abused 58-year-old man that they didn't raise well, abused, assaulted, did all manner of degrading things too, and you want to prosecute those who have done that to such a 58-year-old man. If it was in this country, so to say, that's what will happen. They will probe all the parents, everything you have done to the child, since you have been taking care of the child until whether it's 50, 60, doesn't matter. The day they discover the abuse, the day they discover the abuse is the day you start answering questions like, what did you do to him when he was 10? What did you do to him when he was 15? And when he was 20? How come you didn't call us to tell us that this child is having abnormal growth and stuff like that? So that's exactly what will happen to Nigeria if Nigeria happens to be a man. Nigeria has been raped, abused, assaulted, exploited, degraded, decimated, blackmailed, entrapped. I don't even know other things I can use to qualify what they have done to Nigeria in the last 58 years. So there's nothing to celebrate. Absolutely nothing to celebrate. You get that now? So for those who are lying to themselves, I am happy. Nigeria is 58 today. You are just dumb. You don't know nothing. The celebration they are celebrating, whatever they are celebrating out there, whatever they are celebrating out there, they are celebrating their own, their own luck, that they are in charge, or they are the ones